Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about BBros.bbw, which is a X.NET controls extension. We want to improve productivity of those controls, write less code, take less time, gain more money. This is a project startup. We chosen the database first approach. We work with framework 4.5.1 and X.NET 3 controls. Also, X.NET 2 controls are supported. As I saw, is a database first approach, so we have to create a new database. We work usually with a SQL Server. The new database called BBros. And we're going to create a new table. User ID is the primary key. User is the more descriptive field. The naming convention are very important for control to auto-prend the logic. The table is called users, so we are now ready to go into Visual Studio and create a new empty ASP.NET project. BBW Demo. Okay, let's configure the project, switching the target framework and adding the references needed by X.NET and BBW. Okay. Now we go to web config and create a normal web config for X.NET. It's time to add a web form. This project works with web form. Users form. And we start to edit in the markup. The only thing we have to change in the markup, I prefer to change the body in order to add to the body the controls. After all is in the code behind. So we add a resource manager. And we are ready to add the new configuration for the grid panel, for example. But first, we have to add the data. We have to create a dataset. This works with datasets, not entity framework, for example. So we have to connect to our database and simply drag the table inside the dataset. And it's more important to add a new query that makes the data table adapter able to get the data by primary key, the pickup. Key. Okay, now we are adding a table adapter. BBW table adapter. Which inherits the BBW table adapters control typed in the dataset. I suggest to add imports the namespace of the dataset table adapters and the properties. Here as well is important to respect the naming convention. The table adapter must have the table name. Okay, now we are really ready to add the configuration of the grid panel. We can add the add new functionality, for example. And now we start to add the grid panel GRD. Okay. After that, we have to create the table adapter instance, and connect the table adapter to the grid using the data adapter property. And we have to add an handler that anytime the grid requests the data to be refreshed, uh, the an handler that is able to load data. After that, we can set the height of the grid in order to be displayed correctly, and add the grid to the page. And if it's not an AJAX request, we have to load data. Okay. And now we are ready to run and see what happens. The grid will be rendered, the primary key hidden. We are now ready to add the new records. The data is directly stored in the database. Edit functionality is by default, but we now can add both edit and delete functionality using these properties, and also the delete equal to true. The grid has the functionality to edit and delete data. So we start editing. The data is already updated in the database. And now we are ready to create something more. We can create, for example, a new table that references users, something like task ID. User ID is the foreign key. We add the primary key, the identity. Okay, and tasks. Okay. Now using diagrams, we can add relations simply. Okay. Saving. And now we are ready to go back to Visual Studio and add to the dataset the new table, simply dragging and dropping the table inside the dataset. So we change the form for editing tasks instead of users. We add the table adapter. We go back to the form. We change the data adapter, and now we have to create a store for the users using a BBW object. This is called the lookup store. So I create a users ls as new BBW lookup store of the data table type. Okay. We are to the body. We need to call the data load, the page load, and we have to add the handler references as delegate, already built-in method users ls dot request data refresh, address of BBW table adapter, BBW store request data refresh. And it's important to add also the query for editing. Add a new query. Filtering by primary key. Okay, now we are ready to watch. I already created a record, so we can expect to have one. We can delete. We can add new record using a multi-column combo, one column combo. And we have edit functionality. Delete functionality. And now we're ready to use. Okay. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in this library, feel free to contact me by email. And if you feel useful or you don't, please like or dislike this video. Thank you.